MakingStarWars.net.
It's a whole new world, Rob. I just heard the opening music as loud as everybody else hears it. God, that needs to get turned down.
I told you.
You sound way low to me now. I'm hearing myself through the mic, which used to not happen. I renewed the service for a month of this service, and everything's different now. It's like I've been taken to a different place.
My levels are the same, so
yeah. No, it's a different world.
The audience is just gonna have to tell me if what they hear, but
the audience could just deal with it. Just deal with it. All right, we got a couple of things to look at today.
Well, before we do,
before we do, you got something to say?
Yeah, I do. I got a new video up.
Oh.
I did a comic book review of Clerks, the comic book, with Paul from the Comics Binge.
That guy?
And it's about Star Wars action figures collecting. So it's Star Wars related.
Yeah.
I put it right there in the link. Y'all can check it out.
Old man Paul?
Rob is way lower. So let me.
You do sound low.
Remember, I adjusted my audio based on Jason's. So
no, remember, it's a whole new world now. For some reason, when you renew the service, they make it better. I don't know. Maybe it's worse. Right. I don't know.
How about that?
How about that? Sounds good. I'll catch you outside. Yeah. Dead Dragon says, I wonder what the next episode of Mandalorian will be about. Something tells me Mandalorians. Just a guess. You sound great. So Bestman Bulletin put up this picture. And this guy in the back is a big tall fellow. He's got neck tattoos. He's got some tattoos on his arms. He's he looks like I'm putting him in. I figure he's two things: white rapper, MMA guy. I have some friends in MMA. Threw it to them, two different people. They're like, I don't recognize him. So I'm thinking it's not MMA guy. And then we're trying to figure out who he is. But this person is an Acolyte, and we'll get to some stuff on it later on. But if you've seen this guy and you know who he is, let me or Bestman Bulletin know, because it pertains to our interests, because this guy's most likely a cast member. There's always a chance he's part of like the fighting stuff, fighting style stuff. But anyways, there he is. Have you seen me? And then this was in Deadline. Speaking of different environments, Taika, this is for Taika Waititi's film, there's also a lot of talk about what you are working on. Now it's writing and perhaps starring in a Star Wars movie. And Waititi laughs. Yeah, that rumor's about 3 years old. And all I'll say is, God forbid I make a Star Wars film about people sitting on mountains playing flutes. And I says, well, they kind of went there with the last few Star Wars movies with Luke Skywalker. And he says, okay, then I won't do that for sure. So, yeah, I don't know if that's just like a deflection in general, but it definitely seems like he's calling the rumors that he's going to star in his stuff anyways old, right? I mean, that's what I took from it, that those rumors aren't relevant today. Maybe he planned on starring in it and then changed his mind. I don't know. But
hey, Jason,
yeah,
can you deal with the Meg thing? Like, she apparently is trying to get on the show, but can't get on. Sam thinks you're banning Meg or something before this all gets way out of hand. Like,
what the fuck? What does that mean?
Yeah. I don't know. Santa. You know.
Wait,
storm the show. Like January the 6th.
Okay. Well, okay.
I
yeah. See,
make that joke for a while.
January the 6th. Yeah. Well, it's not so funny when you know some of the stuff that's actually going on in this general vicinity. If you know what I mean.
know.
No. Okay, let me see. New Megan here. I'm gonna. Oh, I see Meg. Now I see Meg saying, "Can I come on today?" Sorry, Meg. I was making a St. Vincent playlist. To be honest with you, I was talking about that. We were. Rob was asking me when was the last time you got an actual mixtape or like a mixtape, and I was like, well, I had a CD, and I think like the last time I got a mixed CD was probably 2006. I think about then, somewhere around there. But I sent Meg the old invite.
I guess you never got a mixed mini disc. No one ever sent
Oh,
you
the
one.
mini disc. Mini discs were
I loved
really
it.
popular for bootlegging, like going
I
to
owned
shows and
one.
recording shows.
I just liked it because I could put my songs on there and they not,
Yeah.
skip or scratch when you're walking around with the set versus a CD player. So,
If
yeah.
you own a copy of Preacher's Son, Oh Girl, Hash Pipe without the lame backup vocals from the summer of 2000, that's me with my mini disc recording that shit, putting it on Napster for you. It's still around.
I'm not as cool. I was listening to the Trotter Trio Star Wars Jazz. I
Ah,
put on the mini. I highly
yeah, yeah.
recommend, by the way, a great piano solo of the Force theme. Fantastic.
Jordan, thank you for the super chat and for being a channel member. Says, let's get this party started. My birthday this Thursday. More importantly, though, this message is to help fund Jason's Disney Plus subscription. Thanks. So tomorrow night when I watch Mandalorian, it's thanks to Jordan. And Jordan, I appreciate that. And so do the children. Party rock and roll. I think like Lobo is always messaging us from behind a drum kit. You know what I mean? He's just like hitting the fucking kick. He's like, give me some Star Wars news. All right. Newt Megan, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Sorry, I didn't see your message
Can,
until a little bit ago.
can you hear me, Meg?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So, yeah, we can hear it. So I don't know this stupid site.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, yeah.
I
So
don't need dialogue. I'll just give you the yay or the.
Taika Meg, do you think he's shooting down the general gist of those rumors, or do you think he's just deflecting in that
Um,
deadline
you mean
piece
like
where he's all there's that rumor's about 3 years old. All I'll say is, God forbid I make a Star Wars movie about people sitting on a mountain playing flutes.
I don't know. I think with Taika, he kind of just makes it up as he goes along. I
Yeah.
was saying this in the Discord, but I genuinely doubt he's seen the sequel trilogy.
I don't know. The reason I'm curious when he would have become affiliated with the story group people, because it's hard. I don't actually know. I have no idea. But because like Bespin was hearing back in the day, like remember when there were those rumors early on that like he was going to direct a Star Wars movie, and he was like, God, I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want it to get canceled. Remember when he was being like more honest about it? Back then, I remember Bespin telling me, he's like, that's their dream guy. That's who they
Right.
were talking about as their dream guy. But that makes me think at that time he wasn't affiliated with the story group, and that relationship didn't really form until IG-11 to the Mando final episodes. But yeah. I went through. I read the court documents from Deadline, and I pulled a couple of the sexier parts from it. And on a complete side note, Meg, before I forget, someone was asking what happens when someone gets pregnant, right? And if you
Mhm.
read that contract closely, you'll find out. So if that person really wants to know in your Discord, I don't remember who it was now, but if they want to know, they should read the Deadline contract because it's in there. So anyways, this is about
Does it say they get to turn your baby into Snoke?
no, it says they'll just replace you, but it's cool. It has more to do with
Wait, the baby will replace you.
the baby will replace you if you should be addicted to drugs. It seems to actually be that in the contract. It seems to be geared more towards drug addiction, dependency, and problems like that than pregnancy. But it does blanket in a blanket way say disability, even temporarily, which makes me believe that would entail pregnancy. In the United States. So yeah, but the big like takeaway from the documents, when you look at them a lot, it might not necessarily mean this, but I have reason to believe that it is true, and we'll get into that in a little while. But basically, it's saying that the Acolyte is going to be several seasons, and so this producer thought she was going to be hired on, left another production or turned down other jobs because she signed like said, yeah, they sent the offer. She says she accepts it. Then she just never works. It's not really clear why or what happened there. I didn't have a really clear picture about what specifically happened, And I imagine when Lucasfilm does a rebuttal to say, yeah, let's go to trial, or we don't need to go to trial, and here's why, we'll probably hear then. But this little sentence, because the series would require her to be overseas for at least a year, not in California. The production companies are based in California, whereas it's filmed over in the UK. And for at least a year and probably several years, and then McCarthy made arrangements to relocate long term. So she started getting ready to move for long term, probably like rented a house or something. Lucasfilm's offer in part because Lucasfilm had assured her that the story arc of the show, as well as the company's business plans, called for the Acolyte to run multiple seasons. So that's pretty right there is pretty important, because up front they could be like, hey, if the show's successful, you'll be coming back, you're going to want to do it, but they're literally selling it to her as this is going to be multiple seasons. And they even give her like the Bible, the season 1 Bible. So the story arc of the series over multiple seasons is mentioned again, and the season 1 Bible, and notice it's a season 1 Bible. This is a detailed story outline, character descriptions, and the world in which everything plays out. McCarthy immediately began working on reviewing it in detail, the series overview and season 1 Bible. So it's sounding a lot like this was going to be multiple seasons. And the last little part that I found, this other little nugget, was in an email that was in the email of a broad strokes deal for her. It says right now it's looking like they're going to be filming in the Canary Islands, which is what they're doing literally today. And so if there was a Bespin Bulletin confirmed that, but I believe this doubly confirms it. So just in case anybody doesn't believe that production is Star Wars related, that's it right there. I mean, that's a smoking gun. So, yeah. So anyways, Acolyte will be multiple seasons. And the reason that I think that is the case is because, or
it's not an official image.
This is an official image from the Acolyte from bestmanbulletin.com. I appreciate his work.
Iger came back and he's like, "Look, we gotta get views. We gotta get views.
Yeah.
There's only one way.
We gotta get some. We're gonna get some one way or the other.
Star Wars under boob.
Yeah, that's what I say. Basically, and then
I would say the production was rather wobbly.
Yeah, it had a soft start. Anyways, yeah, we'll look at the article.
I think we should really nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Jubbly's the Hutt to show up.
And Meg sent this photo over. I don't know where it's from, but Meg showed me this today, and this seems to confirm what people thought was Boba Fett in season 3 of The Mandalorian, right? That's our consensus at the moment.
This is what that guy saw when he was like, "Oh, I saw the celebration thing and Boba's in it."
Yeah.
No, it's this guy.
This guy.
This is from chapter 17.
So that's the next episode, or that? Or
the
no,
first episode.
The first episode. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have we got any confirmations about what's in the next episode yet? Do we have any
Dr. Pershing, Gideon? Yeah, that's all we know.
Oh no, okay. It's that episode.
We're there. We're there.
Oh, no. I fear for that one shot. I'm being picky, but
it might look better by the time we see it. Hopefully. Or
by the way, Jason, those supposed title leaks were correct, just in the wrong order, because we've already had the Apostate and Mines of Mandalore, but they got the order wrong. So you can kind of just figure out or try and guess what the next one is.
Yeah.
Not that it's easy to do, but
right. Huh. So, well, I'll have to pull those up again and check them out, because I don't remember what the other ones were at this point. But I'm going to open up bestmanbulletin.com, and he put, I don't think we did this story yet. So before we get to the other one, but he managed to give us the Wookiee. He does this stuff just for the show, right?
He's got 2 heads. He's like a half a D Mundi, or Ki a D half Mundi, like I'm not against the idea. There's a way to do it like a samurai showdown kind of. That ain't the one.
You know what it looks like to me? You know, people have really like fluffy poodles,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of do like a top knot.
Yeah.
It's like a big version of that.
Star Wars: The Acolyte to film at Fennel Forest, Portugal. So, which is not to be confused with the Anal Forest. This is the Fennel Forest. It's completely different. And then you could give Bespin
Fennel Forest.
hardcore Fennel an Acolyte. You could give Bespin a coffee if you want to.
For Bespin. Just
You know.
Get it? Ha ha.
All right. Support Bespin Bulletin on coffee. Oh, I have a general question too. Would you ever want to support Bespin Bulletin, but then you don't because you're like, I don't fucking know what coffee is, and you just wish it was like not like Patreon or PayPal or something like that? Let me know if that makes sense, because I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, maybe people are just afraid of coffee, because I never used it except for to give him that stuff, and I don't know, people don't like fucking subscribing to stuff. Anyways, to the story. Last week, it was revealed that an unknown Star Wars project was set to film at Madeira Island, Portugal. Meg, do you have any idea if I'm saying that right?
Madeira Island.
Madeira Island, okay. At the time, local outlets and television stations believed that the production was for a new Star Wars movie, but I exclusively revealed, because I'm Bespin Bulletin, that scenes set to be filmed are for the upcoming live-action Star Wars series, The Acolyte. Over the past few days, more and more members of the production have arrived to film on the location photographed by Madeira Island News, while filming set to begin in the coming days. Madeira Island News is now reporting that the production, which they're still not referring to as the Acolyte, though it is the PDX Paradox signs appearing at the filming locations, will also film at the Fennel Forest from March 19th to the 21st. The Fennel Forest is really quiet, beautiful, and atmospheric, and though I currently don't have any evidence, I believe that these scenes being shot at Madeira Island may be in the same universe location as the Brecon Beacons shoot. Is it Brecon Beacons? I always say it wrong, and he corrects me, and then I forget. Anyways, which took place back in December. The Beacon shoot took place inside a forest inside of the national park, and used a reservoir which had dry ice sprayed over it. Below, you can see a few images of the forest via Journey Era. And look at this shit. Shit's crazy looking. Huh. It looks fucking cool. I'm into it. It's cool. Yeah, looks pretty badass. So I don't know.
It's pretty Fennel.
Yeah, they're right there. Look at that, going right in there. Anybody down for some Fennel?
Looks deep and dark. Bit muddy.
What's up with
by the way, Jason?
The people? There's just one person right here, little creeps. All right, what's that? What's that mean?
It's called aesthetics, but if you want to laugh about something, so the next episode of The Bad Batch is called Pabu.
Yeah.
Well, someone on Twitter was like, well, it means like in Korean or Japanese or something, like it means aunt. Okay. So I decided to type into Google, don't do that, or do it at your own risk. Okay. Pabu definition, go to Urban Dictionary. It's the funniest thing.
Oh, I have to go look it up then.
You got to look at it now.
Okay, Pabu, Urban Dictionary. Okay, Pabu. Hold on. Okay. Okay, Pabu. It's Korean, term used for endearment. It can also refer to as silly you. My Pabu Oppa Kim Kayang's boyfriend.
You're looking at the wrong one.
I am looking at the wrong one. Okay. Pabu, the rare occurrence of ejaculating in your underwear after a male touches your penis for a short amount of time. This is primarily caused by not masturbating before going on a date with an incredibly hot male. Wow, the Bad Batch is gonna fucking be explosive tonight or tomorrow night. a lot of not revealed homosexuals get into this situation. This is normal for this kind of people. We call this Pabu. And that was by Pabu on November 2nd, 2007. The actual Pabu did it. So, all right. There we go. I mean, Lucasfilm Story Group at it again, you know? I'm gonna call that a little bit of a cultural appropriation that maybe I agree with. Maybe I agree with that cultural appropriation. Maybe excellent. They shouldn't be keeping that all for themselves over there. So anyways, Bespin Bulletin writes, how do I go back to this? The Acolyte began filming in October of last year and is due to wrap sometime next month, with the release planned for the first half of 2024. Recently, Disney CEO Bob Iger revealed that he'd seen footage for the upcoming series and was pleased with what he was shown. The Acolyte will follow a former Padawan and her Jedi Master investigate a series of crimes, but encounter forces more sinister than they've imagined. The series stars Amanda Stenberg and a bunch of other suckers. That's what I'm going to say for that part of the article. Then we get on to today's news. And then we have the best Bespin Bulletin featured image of all time. And I'm gonna give it credit. It's approaching Bix levels of coolness. That's what I'll call it. So this is linked directly to the last article. That's why I put them together. It makes sense, right? So over the past week, sets have started being prepared on Madeira Island, Portugal, for a Star Wars production. Local outlets are claiming that the mystery Star Wars project is a film, even days after I exclusively revealed that the production taking place in Portugal is in fact Leslie Headland's created series, The Acolyte. Yeah, he and I were talking about this, and I'm like, it's two things. Either it's just a staff writer who doesn't give a shit, that's why they haven't corrected it, or maybe it's sexier and it's cooler if it's supposed to be a film. Maybe it's bigger news if it's not a Disney Plus series. I don't know if they would see it that way or not, but because in theory, they should people there should know what's up, especially if they're talking about doing several seasons of the show. Anyways, sources told me that the Star Wars project prepping to shoot in Portugal was The Acolyte, or The Acolyte. Locals have been in touch with me claiming to have seen PDX signs. Something I revealed was being used on the Acolyte sets in December. As my readers should know, PDX stands for Yo Mama. No, it stands for Paradox, which is the code name for the series. And now I have more evidence of the production being the Acolyte, as various vehicles arriving to the sets have been spotted with Paradox signs on their dashboards. And right here, you can see one. It says Filmagins, and then you can see the little Paradox logo in the corner here.
Man buns.
By the way, yeah. Anyways, currently, there are multiple sets on Madeira Island, Portugal, being prepped for the Acolyte. Filming is supposedly due to take place at Ribeira de Janala, with the location closed until March 14th. Filming is also set to place at São Vicente in the coming days, and at the Anal Forest between March 19th and the 21st. Given the openness of each area, don't worry, there won't be no Pabu action here. We're hoping that we'll be able to get a good look at the scenes being filmed over the next handful of days. Now, at this moment right now, the Portuguese are letting us down. It's nighttime there now. There's no pictures. So what the fuck? I exclusively revealed that the Acolyte began filming towards the tail end of October last year, which deadline backed up earlier this week. Most of the filming for the series was taking place behind the walls of Shinfield Studios, Berkshire, with scenes also being filmed at Pinewood Studios, London. Come on, dude. Are you trying to pad this shit out? I mean, come on. We need to stop with the Berkshire and the Londons. And I mean, everybody knows. You know what? If it's Pinewood and it's in Georgia, note that, because that's the fucking fake Pinewood. This is the real Pinewood. You don't need to put that. And Arborfield Green, Reading. The only on-location shoot we've seen of the series was at Brecon Beacons National Park, located in Wales, which I broke.
That way.
By the sound of your accent, it's located in Jamaica.
The location being used, along with other locations in Wales being used, including Mithril Tidefil and Resolven. Filming on the series is expected to wrap up sometime next month, and then we have those really cool pictures again. And as we've been wrapped up in filming details for the series recently, we've forgotten to mention that last week Deadline reported that Karen McCarthy, Ballers, who was hired to be an executive producer on The Acolyte, had filed a lawsuit against Lucasfilm for breach of contract. McCarthy was reportedly pursued by Lucasfilm and Apple to work on their respective projects, The Acolyte and Sugar, with McCarthy choosing the galaxy far, far away. Oh, come on, man. You're getting a little trade there, buddy. And thus turning down the work on Apple's project, only to be removed 2 weeks later without reason, without justification. However, the most interesting tidbits for us fans that comes from the lawsuit, which you can read here, is that McCarthy was required to work overseas for at least 1 year and probably several years in total, as the Acolyte is planned to run for multiple seasons, and that McCarthy was given a season 1 Bible as well as a series overview, which revealed the plans and structure in regards to the Acolyte story for future seasons. And then he's got a little cool little picture here of the location, which looks pretty rad.
Titular,
the titular character. Hi, I'm the Acolyte. I'm titular. That featured image is pretty titular. The Acolyte, which is set during the High Republic era, this is when everybody was smoking ganja, will follow a former Padawan and her Jedi Master as they investigate a series of crimes. And this is pretty much what he wrote the other time. The Acolyte will release within the first half of 2024 and will have a presence at this year's Star Wars Celebration, which kicks off on April 7th. And then you could listen to his podcast, the Bob Podcast. You could follow him on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, but don't bother with Hive and Mastodon. That would just be a waste of your time. That's what I say. But yeah. So, anyways, we got some Star Wars shit there, right? Well, if you talk to Bespin Bulletin, you'll hear this. You'll hear this thing that comes up sometimes, and it sounded like the writers went on a retreat to this area, and there's a couple of things that like I just find kind of interesting, and it's like that area is known for this sort of like stick fighting, which is like they have like their own martial arts, like in like the Canary Islands. And it's like two sticks, one stick wielded but with both hands, so like a stick in each hand, and it's like this whole thing. And I'm kind of theorizing if that person that he has in that photo is actually like a mixed martial arts person, they may be versed in that style, and they may have done a writer's retreat there, discovered it, and then incorporated it into the show. Just throwing that out there, because it seems like there's the potential for it.
Well, a stick in each hand sounds like a good time.
That's what I always say, unless you got my Pabu problems, you know.
In Fainal Forest.
In the Fainal Forest, I'm having some Pabu issues. Yeah. Comic Binge, I don't know why, just says Mod Mothma swimsuit edition action figure. Sometimes we just get shit on our brain and we gotta get it out.
There's one response to this. Can't swim.
That's from the Clerks comic book.
Oh, okay. I see. I will watch that. Yeah, look. Santa's like, Jason's ignoring you in Discord again. See what Santa's trying to do? He's trying to start problems. Watch out for that guy. A little shit starter, you know? That's what I say. Man, my browser's being a little bit laggy. I'm trying to get to the old chat and see what's going on, but it's being kind of dumb. Wait, Jeff Mugg says, who's eating the old 96er? What does that even mean? I wonder. Oh, Fandom Empire. I meant to tell you, I reached out to that person that you asked me to about that Star Wars information, and they said, open your DMs, bud. Before I forget. Oh, and this is it right here. Clerks, the comic book review. So that's cool that you're able to, that you still got your mod powers. We're not on the old service, so you shouldn't have mod powers, but you still got the mod powers.
I still got the mod powers.
You still got it. They didn't know how to take it away. That's pretty good. Have you got that message on Twitter yet telling you to remove your 2-factor or like you're going to be in trouble?
No.
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah, they're like saying that. I'm like, fuck you. If you're going to take it away, you fucking remove it. I'll just lose the fucking Twitter account. Fuck it.
All right.
It's wild,
the
right?
Site sucks.
The site is trash. But, yeah.
The audio should be fixed now. I think.
Yeah, this is
I gave it a little tug, right? You know, for
a little
retread,
a little bit of Pabu.
Massage. Yeah, a little bit of Fanal.
Jason, speaking of this audition, I heard about what happened, what went down.
What happened?
You found out that at the Star Cruiser they were doing the Rey versus Kylo fight,
and
you insisted you could be the Kylo role.
Yeah.
You gave it a good go, but you didn't show up in uniform or anything.
No, just
you're
me.
like, I can do it. I need my Rey, and then
I don't need this mask.
You started like waving around your red stick, but it was not a lightsaber.
It was like this. What? The Star Wars Santa. If you do Star Wars Santa show, this shit just falls out of your computer. By the way,
like
you didn't know.
You bring up Santa and candy canes, Jason. I could derail this show in about 30 seconds. You know? It's too easy. It's too easy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Meg. Tomorrow's episode's 56 minutes, right? According to that source on Twitter. Do you recall what they were called? I would like to give them credit. I don't remember what they're called.
It's like 4K HD something.
Yeah.
It's not a very memorable, but they've got it right so far. So I think it's listed as 59 minutes, but it's really 56.
Yeah. Because of like credits and international credits and stuff, right? The shit runs like for like a long time.
They do a long ass recap now.
Yeah. And the long ass recaps. Ryan says, Jason, how much Fortnite have you played in the last 3 days? How many hours is that? That's probably about 72 hours worth of it. I'd say it's a new season, man. I gotta get level 100. What do you want? But oh, he's playing bass. He's playing bass guitar. All right, that's fair. I knew it was. I knew Lobo was playing something. Planet Fitness says Taika is hot trash. Taika's not hot trash just because the guy makes like 5 or 6 things that are all great, and then like you don't like one thing because it's like a fucking Marvel. And it's not even Taika that you don't like. Probably it's the amalgamation of genre of let's take romance and superhero and mix it up. You know, romantic comedy. That's why it sucks. It's that doesn't work.
So 2 things on that. One, I just want to point out to people, that's exactly what my uncle said about George Lucas after Return of the Jedi. So we can all agree that George Lucas was trash as of Return of the Jedi and never made anything good afterward, right?
Your uncle's an idiot.
Right?
Your uncle is dumb as shit. Yeah.
It's true. And then 2.
Fine, I'm going to say it. His uncle touched me and I had Pabu issues.
2, like, I just don't think very few people are good at writing their own material and directing it. And I don't mean good. I mean, like, the smaller the project, the more control that has. But when you go through a licensor with producers that aren't your producers and a studio, I don't know, you know, like, you can start to parody yourself or lean on studio tropes. It's like, remember, Jon Favreau made Iron Man 2 and lost the Avengers. He was supposed to direct the Avengers. Remember all that, folks. He was supposed to direct the Avengers with the Zach Penn script. And after Iron Man 2, you know, they parted ways. That old Favreau and Marvel. So, like, you don't get Mando with that. It's just funny, man. Like, I'm not that I'm defending, you know, Thor, Love and Thunder or whatnot, but like, let's put it this way. James Mangold directed the Wolverine movie where he fights a giant RoboCop. He fights RoboCop 2. Remember where he fights RoboCop 2 in that movie? And I was like, we did this. And then he went and directed a rated R, low budget Logan movie that was fantastic. So like, it just depends, man. It's just tough because we wait years for something, and then you spend $30-$40 to go to the theaters, and we're really spoiled. So as fans, so you want to have that experience that this was the greatest thing I ever saw. And when it wasn't, and if it wasn't the greatest thing you ever saw, and it also came after maybe 2 other films that weren't the greatest thing you saw, then it's just shit rolls downhill, right? Like, and that really is the studios. Blame Kevin Feige, man. Like, look, I give props to leaders when they lead, and I tear down leaders. It's top-down leadership is the only way to deal with shit. If Kevin Feige is going to get all the fucking credit when Marvel takes off and you get Infinity Wars and Endgames, and he needs to also take the credit when you get Ant-Man's 1, 2, 3, because they all suck, and people didn't like Guardians 2, but people seem to forget that now. I thought it was good, but you remember the theory at the time, Jason. It wasn't well-liked. So that's it. I mean, if you didn't like Thor: Love and Thunder, that's a Taika issue, like, period. Same with, like, if Willow didn't work out, like, as far as I'm concerned, that's the biggest blemish on Kathleen Kennedy's record, that and Rise of Skywalker, so, like, I mean, but Willow's just, people forgot that. It's just crazy. People just forgot it ever came out. Like, that's the sort of beauty of streaming. When something bombs, you kind of don't get endless reviews about it. People just forget about it. At the movie theater, you're reminded.
But to bring it back to, like, Taika, Thor came out and nobody fucking really liked it.
The first one?
Yeah,
did,
and then Taika.
It's true.
Taika reimagined the character.
Well,
and then everybody
Thor
cared.
2. Thor 2, everyone hated.
Yeah, Thor 2 was garbage. Thor 1 was, I'm going to say Thor 1 was like lukewarm, and Thor 2 was just unwatchable.
Thor 1 has a fantastic score, by the way. Like, even if you just put on the music sometime, it is really good. Like, they should kind of lean back into that. But there was just something about Love, like, Love and Thunder is one of those things where it's like, it's an ending, it's a punchline in search of a setup. So the name implies the ending of the movie. I think the exact same, my complaints, if I have complaints about what we're watching on Mando right now, and it's not really a complaint, it's just, I feel the same way with Favreau's writing, that, like, he knows what the ending is, and everything is pushing toward that, whether I think the characters will be doing those things or not, And I don't see any difference. I mean, look, we got Pele Moto in this last episode. You could say it's 2 minutes or 5 minutes of her or whatever, but, like, that, she's 100% would have fit right in with Love and Thunder, like, period. So you gotta keep things in a little check, like, I mean, action figure Star Wars doesn't mean, it needs to be corny, but it can also be corny so long as it's in spurts. But I don't know, man. All of Marvel, that's a problem with anything. Like, let's say the sequel trilogy had been the greatest trilogy since The Lord of the Rings, right?
Well, I mean, every Star Wars trilogy is better than Lord of the Rings, so continue. Including Back to the Future, but, like, first 3 Indiana Jones, and then somewhere out there is Lord of the Rings and its fucking walking movie.
All right, so
I call it a walkie-talkie because they talk it a little bit.
You sound so like George Lucas right there. Like, they walk and they talk, and
walkie-talkie.
So, but what was I gonna say, man? Like, I just, if the sequel trilogies had been the greatest movies ever, and then you got, like, I guess Solo, or I don't know, like, it'd be hard to maintain that level of excellence for a long time. Like, it gets harder and harder as you go along. So with Marvel, I feel they always did a solid B plus. Like, no matter what you saw, you were in there for a good B plus, movie. Which, hey, man, for a comic book I'm buying, once every 3 months, I'm all for that. It doesn't have to be the world's greatest film.
Yeah.
I think when they've leaned on the comedy, this is a problem that, like, doesn't just fall on Marvel's head or Star Wars' head. This is a problem when studios get involved. And you can see the studio influence. And I just want to point you all old timers to the movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The studio had very little to do with that film, right?
Yeah,
like they kind of were hands off. They didn't really care. They were expecting it to bomb, and it did really. And the director's take was to get the tone of Big Trouble in Little China and Ghostbusters. He wanted Ghostbusters, that feeling of Ghostbusters, that it was like New York but real, but this crazy stuff's happening, but it always felt real. Movie's a huge success, almost as big, if not big, as Batman financially. Sold a lot of merch. Then the studios get involved with Secret of the Years. Now go look at Secret of the Years and tell me what big difference between that movie and Love and Thunder or any of these or Ant-Man 3s is, right? Like tonally. Big goof, big more special. It's got a big Toka and a Razar. It's got the turtles are all using yo-yos and shit, you know, like it's fucking dumb. I hated it when I was a kid. Was mad. I was mad at the drive-in. Couldn't even leave. Stuck. I was in a car.
Yeah, it was pretty weird because the first movie, I was probably like 9, and the kid in it wears a Sid Vicious shirt, and so I asked everybody who that was, and then they told me, and this neighbor kid made me a Sex Pistols tape, and I got really into the Sex Pistols when I'm like 9 years old, and then like the next year they released the sequel with Vanilla Ice as the soundtrack, and they sent me down a different path, and then they were like Vanilla Ice. Like, whoa, this doesn't make sense.
I have the action figure, his action figure. I got it from NECA, but it's ridiculous.
With Sid on it, with Sid on the shirt.
Tom, yeah, he's got the same shirt. Yeah, they put it on him.
That's cool.
So like you can't, and as an artist, like I hate, like sometimes you make something and it just didn't come out the way you intended it. You know, you put everything you had into it. You killed yourself nearly. You stayed up hours and hours and didn't sleep, and you put it out there, and it just
taboo. Right?
Doesn't mean the next time that you're stuck making that one thing forever. Could you imagine, Jason, if we were like, okay, you don't get any failures in your career. All right, then Jon Favreau should have been done with Cowboys and Aliens. Like, should have been done. Yeah. Director's jail, never come back. Same with Patty Jenkins. Like, I don't think because she made Wonder Woman 84, she can't make another good movie ever again. It's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
You know, her. So, like, but this is the caveat. Like,
Rudy.
It takes so long to make a Star Wars film, time and money, and effort and marketing and all that there is no excuse for not putting. They should know internally when they got something that's great, and you know when they don't, and sitting in there and it's like that scene in the beginning, right, Jason, the Star Wars Episode 1 documentary when Lucas and Spielberg
the one
are looking at the droids.
That's totally fake. Yeah, I love it.
Lucas and Spielberg are looking at the droids and they go, "It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great." It's fun, but like, careful about when you just tell yourself it's gonna be great no matter what you're doing. You know, you gotta be a little careful about that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, it's like in that instance, Spielberg never really understood why Star Wars worked, at least at first. So he's just like, George is crazy. I'm just going to encourage him to be crazy because that's worked in the past. That's what that is.
I'm beginning to wonder if Steven Spielberg at that point forgot what worked about Indiana Jones. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I've always said Temple of Doom I prefer over The Last Crusade, and people hate me for that. But
I don't hate you for it. You're just wrong. That's okay.
Temple of Doom did add an annoying character in Willie Scott, but she was always annoying. It's not like she was really cool in the previous movie and then became annoying. Last Crusade took 2 serious characters, Marcus and Salah, and then made them cartoon characters.
Yeah.
You know, they're not the same characters at all. They're parodies.
Yeah, they're in like a different subgenre of the film at that point. The way that
they're R2. They added R2D2 and 3PO. Essentially, is what they tried to do. You know, give it that droid humor or the Hidden Fortress. I get it. I get the references and stuff. So like, maybe it's a product of when you have kids and stuff. I don't know. I do think if I had to put any guess on Taika, it would, because that episode of Mando he directed was fantastic with the IG-88 and all that stuff. And we got
IG-11, fake fan. Come on.
We got sure. We got existential stormtroopers from Aeronauts out of it, so it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with Taika is I mean, my only like reservation about him is he going to continue to be the same filmmaker that he's been, or is he super famous, popular, doing a bunch of cocaine, having 3 ways, and not the guy who was like, oh, well, I'm alone in my room coming up with, what we do in the shadow script or whatever, whatever the process for that was. Is he still that guy, or can he be that guy? Or is he, because like you were saying, it takes like 5 years to make one of these things in the end. And he's all over the place. He has so many projects lined up. That's my only,
what I'm saying.
That's my only like reservation about him,
Too much. You're doing too much.
A little bit of focus.
Doing too much. And and that whole, I'll just do what I do and it turned it out. Like it's not going to work. You can't lean on that.
Yeah.
Maybe every now and then you can pull a win out, but it's not a consistent win.
Well, doing the Mandalorian's final episode and knocking it out of the park is a good job and a very solid work, but it's also not the same, I think, as making a Star Wars film.
Well, let's just think about it. Let's have this conversation. Peyton Reed directed the episode of Mando where Luke Skywalker came back.
Mm-hmm.
And then Peyton Reed also made Ant-Man 3. Mm-hmm. So like, what are you supposed to take away from that? I can tell you as a professional, like, and when I say professional, I mean, I get paid based on whether clients like my work or don't. Yeah. I don't get paid because I showed up and did something today and got paid either. Literally, I get judged daily. like there are times, Matt, turns something, I'm like, that didn't go over well. I got to stay up all night and fix that. So I've been doing this for almost 20 years. So like when I watch something, I have when I watch anything or read something, I turn off the filter. I'm not critiquing. I can turn it off. But then when I think about something, I have to think about it from 2 sections. One, did that work for what it was trying to do? Whether I liked it or not, it's irrelevant. What was good, what was bad, based on what they were going for. What are they trying to accomplish? Did they accomplish that? Was from a I say professional standpoint, because I'm outside of myself. Yeah. The other thing is whether I personally liked it. Mm-hmm. And that's when I go, well, this is like, I personally don't care for Peli Motto. I don't think that that's a character that's going to piss off most people, Mm-hmm. Like I can go, that's I think the average moms are going to like this sort of thing, I don't, but I get it, and I don't think like whatever they did with her is obtuse for what they're going for, so 50-50 on that one. Mm-hmm. But I just think like looking at the Mando season 2 ender, much in that episode was not good. It was Gideon was not working. It was a lot of like people saying the same things over and over again. The Dark Trooper shots were not intimidating, almost corny. I couldn't describe it. It reminded me of, it was staged in a way that reminded me of cutscenes from Dark Forces, the video game from 1995. There was a lot of like really weird shot compositions and stuff like that. And so like, but even when Luke's ship comes by, it's really kind of, if you turn the sound off, like, well, there's a little X-Wing going by the window. Oh, look at that. Like
yeah, I think it was on a screen, wasn't it? You see it like on a
and
screen.
it's goofy. Mm-hmm. But when he does the lightsaber stuff, all that shot incredibly well, and the moves and the all that. So you're forgiven, you know, even with the questionable CGI face, right? Like mm-hmm. Forgiven.
Yeah, I wish they would actually upgrade that, especially since since that one guy already kind of did the work that they hired to do the other work. Just kick him down a few grand
to talk about. Mm-hmm. I did not like Attack of the Clones. However, I appreciated and could show people the IMAX version. When that was in theaters, I had to drive my friends up to the LA movie theater. There was a digital IMAX screen near the airport, LAX. Mm-hmm. And it was only a theater with reserved seating, Jason. Remember that? Like when that was new?
Yeah.
And I remember showing people that version, and they're like, I heard this movie sucked. That was pretty good, because it was 30 minutes less. And it cut out a lot of unnecessary jokes and corny stuff and got right to it. Movie worked for the better. Really did. Mm-hmm. And when my friends bought I never told them it was different. So when they bought the DVD, they were like, this isn't the same movie.
Yeah, it was like 20. I want to say it was about 20 minutes shorter back then, because the IMAX was on film still, and the machines the reel couldn't hold the much more something like that.
Yeah, at the time it wasn't completely digital; it was an actual film. So there's that, and those, because it was a digital screen, the colors, since it was shot digitally, the colors were popping on that IMAX screen in a way that they weren't on a normal film projection. So there's a lot of things working for that version of it, but a lot of people never saw it. So like, I can go look. I don't like the prequels; it's not my thing at the end of the day. But I can also look at it from a different from a technical standpoint and go, all right, this worked, that was great. This could have 20 minutes less and it's an even better film. Like, crazy how that works out. I just think we should all keep that in check when someone's announced to do something. You know, like, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the same thing you saw but worse last time. It's just not the truth.
I mean, we could even whittle it down even closer to home. Fucking J.J. Abrams, he brings episode 7 and he brings episode 9. I mean, they're not the same thing.
The worst of all the Star Wars films for me. The worst of all the Star Wars films.
One of the better Star Wars films. One of the worst Star Wars films.
By a long shot. There's only one. I mean, it has Han Solo as a ghost who's not a ghost. I don't fucking know what that movie is, man. It's the dumbest fucking movie I've ever.
Nobody knows. You try reporting that fucking scoop. You try reporting that scoop, Rob. Yeah, I think he's a ghost, but he's not. He's like a normal Han Solo. But
at least Batman and Robin in the trailers weren't telling you it was the end of a saga or the generation of. It wasn't like trying to also hype you up with a bunch of, Joseph Campbell hyperbole, right? Like, it was like, no, we're a big dumb Batman movie, yay! All right, well, that's what they sold me.
Seth says IGN is milking their bad Mando Chapter 18 review. I don't know what that's about. I haven't been following along with that.
Are they the ones who crapped all over it? There was one outlet that basically destroyed the episode.
I know they said the episode was dark. And on one hand, they're not wrong, but I saw the comparison that it was like that Game of Thrones episode. And in Game of Thrones, they're like outside and there's dragons flying outside and you can't see shit. You're like, and it's like really, really bad. But in this episode, they're in a fucking cave. So it's
the cinematographer for this series was the Kevin Smith's bud. Good dude. I didn't like his work when he first started. It's gotten way better. But if you're going to shoot dark scenes, you got to go look at Greg Fraser's palette, who did, the 2 best looking episodes of Mando ever, and recently the Batman. So you can be dark and visible. So that really just comes down to, execution.
Yeah.
And no one's saying that Batman is bright, other than the very end of the scene when he's literally in fluorescent lighting.
Yeah.
Aside from that.
Yeah. And you also have to have your TV calibrated correctly as well. Or those dark scenes work even worse.
No. Just turn the brightness all the way down.
Just turn it to 120 hertz. Put on motion smoothing. Everything. Just go to town with it. Astro says Lego Mando set reveal tomorrow. Minds of Mandalore Spider Droid comes with Bo, Grogu, Din, new Darksaber. Finally, they did that. So
interesting.
Yeah. Jason, I like to turn my TV to 120 hertz. It just a dude sitting around taking credit for everything I do.
When you put your TV on 120 hertz, no one has a mustache, but everybody has a beard.
It's also known as wannabe director's mode.
Yeah, you said it, George.
Okay.
I looked up the IGN thing.
Return to Oz.
Yeah, what's the same? What's its deal, Meg?
Well, they were clearly wrong. I mean, not that you can be wrong, but they were way too harsh. That now the review comes with a disclaimer, basically saying we watched it a second time and it was better, type of thing.
Oh, okay.
So I assume they got a lot of backlash for their first review.
Yeah. So yeah, well,
look, if you don't like something, you don't like something. I'm not going to sit there and tell someone they should pander to their audience. That'd be the worst thing to do. But yeah, we can critique the episode in that it starts off with it's a grudge. Look, it was tough for me to get through that bit with her. I'm not going to complain about it too much. But it is oddly paced, the story.
But that's all opinion right there. Like what you're talking about.
That is my opinion.
But if the opinion is it's too dark and you can't see anything, there's a little bit of objectivity in that no, it's actually not too dark. You can see stuff, and it's supposed to be dark for some of it because they're in a fucking cave. There were a few moments though in the cave where I thought
directional.
doesn't.
It's one directional lighting. Things are sort of being lit from shafts of light up at top or at the bottom. It doesn't have like a bounce. It doesn't have like a secondary bit or anything. So look, that's just the cinematography. That's just the DP's choice. Like that's just decisions they made. I'd say this show still looks 1,000 times better than 90% of Book of Boba Fett. Like let's be honest. And,
Book of Boba Fett was just this is a dark camp. It doesn't matter that you can't see anything. You know, that was their angle.
Jason, I sent you the TLDR on their review. I don't really see it making any sense whatsoever. Oh, sorry.
Fuck yeah, Meg. Get down. That makes sense to me. Whenever Meg gets a call, it's a fucking party.
I'm Meg. Da da dee da 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 dee da.
I did a little bit of Molly when she picked up the phone. Then I was like, yeah. All right. So Meg sent us a quote. The second episode of The Mandalorian, The Mines of Mandalore, establishes a horror mood with a genuinely unsettling enemy, though it is at times too dark and reliant on jump scares. No, it wasn't. The show, thankfully, isn't wasting more time on Din's redemption quest. Instead, was this a reigniting Bo-Katan's quest to build a new future for her people?
To be fair, though, like with the dark comment, like this is a problem with a lot of Disney projects. Like, if you just see the trailer for that Peter Pan series they're putting out with the Green Knight director, that's just dark as fuck, man. It is ridiculously like one-dimensionally darkly. It's like a weird. It's like everyone saw. It's like executives saw Solo and was like, let's make it dark. You know, and I like that dude's cinematography. I like his work, but so it's oddly placed for that story. Well, but Greg Fraser is a guy who knows how to darken things, but also add these little lights on the thing. He knows how to pop it even with the darks. Like it's not, gosh, man. Like I mean, look, Jedi. There's a lot of shit that could have been darker in Jedi. There's some scenes where you're just like it's one dimensionally lit, but people don't. I don't know what to. I think it's subjective. Right?
Yeah, Shogun Order says, "Did you all?" Thank you for the $5 super chat, Shogun. Says, "Did you all like how they did dark in the Note movie? They called it Day for Night." Yeah, truthfully, I don't like it. I don't think it actually looks very good. It was something that I did not enjoy about the movie. I thought it took away from the atmosphere of that one, where you're actually dealing with like an actual like creature out there, you know, the UFO kind of shit. And so I didn't love it. But I also think that the reality of the situation is your average person can't tell, doesn't give a shit. It doesn't matter. And it makes those productions be able to film in the daytime instead of doing night shoots the whole time and fucking the cast and crew up. So it's a catch-22. I don't know what the right answer is on that front.
I was very disappointed by Nope.
Yeah.
I went in with high hopes. I loved Get Out and Us. And I was expecting like that kind of quality, but maybe I just didn't get it. Like the ape scene, the chimpanzee scene at the beginning. I don't understand how what that was meant to symbolize. Maybe I'm stupid.
It was like the idea. Yeah, I follow you. It's there. We'll see. They cut a bunch out. Like I saw like the full like work print of it early on, and I was really excited for the movie, and I was really disappointed by the first version I saw. The version that came out I liked better than the first version I saw. That said, they cut out a bunch of stuff, and that made that make more sense. But just the idea was, if you use nature as a spectacle, it's gonna bite you in the fucking face. It's gonna kill you. Nature isn't a spectacle. You can't use nature like that. It's not how this works. It's kind of the point. And did I think that was a very good way to make the point or a very good use of it? Not at all. And it's the movie I should like the most from Jordan Peele, and it's probably my least liked movie that thing he's done even. So I'm with you.
Day for Night is an old technique they've been using forever. I mean, you used to see it like in black and white films all the time, where they just use a different ISO whatever setting to make the image appear darker. So like anytime Lassie would be running around at night, it was the middle of the day. They weren't shooting at night. Like
yeah.
Yeah. So they probably just whatever.
Yeah. But once again, does it really matter? I'm mixed. Like if the filmmakers are able to do it and people don't die from it and stuff, I would rather they not do it. But at the same time, if a movie needs to happen, I would rather the movie happen. So, and Seth, there's a follow up and says IGN's original tweet from their Mando review is one of the most ratioed tweets I've seen in a while. So apparently they got a lot, like 2,000 comments, he says.
Well, I had talked to IGN once and 10 years ago when they told me they didn't want to be known for games. They wanted to be known for movies. And this is what you get. Like, this is what you get.
Yeah.
I find it interesting after the Andor show. Like, Andor was very good. Mado season 3 is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back to rewatch Kenobi, and I went full dark side.
Yeah.
With just like, I can't believe this. This was the standard.
You see what I saw when we were watching it now, right?
The Princess Leia scenes are unbearable. They look like they were filmed in a local park, like when she's being chased by
pretty
Flea.
much are. They pretty much are. That's pretty much exactly what they are, Meg.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
But it does have a dinosaur, Meg. We got to give them credit. They put a
Mhm.
dinosaur in Star Wars. Like
they did.
It's up to Taika to run with that dinosaur.
I personally don't have, like, for instance, I went and watched the first episode of Picard, right? And I was like, I'm going to watch the Star Trek show. I watched the first episode of Picard, and that makes Kenobi look like it's fucking some Christopher Nolan visual effects sequence we've never seen before. Like, so shit can get a lot worse. The problem I have with it, in essence, is like, I'm okay with doing something really small scale, something really cheap, like just because they had to do it that way for whatever reason. I'm not against it, but you don't do that with the Kenobi one. Fucking, you don't fuck up, like, when Kenobi's not the
flagship one. It should have been their flagship move. It's the one you spend the money on. It's the one you put everything you have into it. It's just, if it ain't working, it's the one you throw away and start over. Like, serious. It's taking, the idea was, I know I'm not telling people who love the prequels shouldn't like what they loved or grew up with. I'm not saying that. But it was the opportunity for one of the best actors of the prequels, if not the best actor of the prequel. I still think Liam Neeson is a little edges him out by a bit, but to be given a chance to be taken seriously, to give that material, then, especially for a lot of people who felt that him and Anakin bit just didn't have enough time because it was second fiddle to a lot of other stuff in those movies. This was the place to deal with that. And it felt like this company had learned nothing in 20 years, like it just felt like, I'm not shitty on the Marvel comics.
That's what I think worked in it, though, is that's the stuff.
The last episode is the best episode. The last episode is the best episode. But when you have shots like Vader sitting at, like, it looks like he's sitting at a little bench at McDonald's, it's fucking weird. The whole show is just weird.
Yeah, the Mustafar shot.
Yeah. When he showing him get up and stand up and walk in the one shot from the thing is very awkward. That I completely agree. That stuff doesn't look good.
It's just, to be honest, it's put me off the kind of whole prequel era, which is my favorite era. I've had no desire to care about it at this stage, because to me it's like, what happens after Revenge of the Sith is still up in the air. My brain hasn't canonized that show.
It might be like,
it's so inconsistent as well. If you think of the conversation between Bail, Yoda, and Obi-Wan at the end of Revenge of the Sith, where they're like, Obi-Wan says, I'm going to take him to his family on Tatooine where no Sith can detect him. And it's like, well, the next thing in canon now is the Kenobi show. So the Inquisitors clearly can show up, and Reva just so happens to speak to Owen.
Yeah. That bit of, I mean, is it does play coincidentally. At the same time, I mean, you could say on that ship they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're making assumptions, I guess. And then it does play out that way ultimately. But yeah, I mean that's when it comes to these shows, we never know what we're gonna get. We never know how something is gonna turn out, and also we never know what's gonna work for people. Like if I just had to guess, I'd be like, Meg's not gonna like Andor, and she's gonna fucking love Kenobi. Like that's just what I would have guessed, just from on a whim. But it's the exact opposite.
How do you think I feel about the Kessel Run? Right, like the Kessel Run was supposed to be like this fun. Maybe it's a I don't know, beer run or like it should have been like is this fucking 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea nightmare fuel? Like I don't fucking know, man. Like I can't sit through it. But people go, whoa, it's not. Yeah, it's not terrible. I know what terrible is. It doesn't have to be terrible to be like a wasted effort. It doesn't have to be Blade 3 to be a wasted effort. I'm not saying that. It's not Blade 3. It's not Batman and Robin, right? It's just that they take these things that are pretty iconic within the Star Wars mythos or whatever, and then they shoot them in a way that you're just like, what were you thinking? If you learn nothing, like I don't think they've learned much, regardless of the regime.
Well, it's because you're saying they, as if it's like this. Like,
what am I supposed to do? If I say Kathleen Kennedy, then this turns into a giant woman-hating show. I'm not doing that.
No, so
it's
it's not Kathleen Kennedy. But that's the whole thing. Is every single time we have one of these fucking directors who comes in and fails or succeeds, it's just random. Like it's like Ron Howard comes in and shoots that fucking shit, and then you're like, okay, but then what's Ron Howard done since? How does Ron Howard play into any of the rest of it? Not at all.
His directing isn't at question. It's the script, Marty. It's the script.
Yes and no.
The writing in that film.
Like the fucking pod race didn't come together in the script. The pod race came together in pre-viz. The pod race came together in the directing and random ideas and as a team endeavor. And my whole thing is the Kessel Run happening almost 20 years after the Phantom Menace. That should have been like at the level of the fucking pod race. Like it should have been that level of spectacle, and it's not. Why isn't it? And it's like to some degree, you're right. To some degree, it is script because the script is why just like they fly into the maw, then the maw doesn't.
It should be a roller coaster moment in Star Wars. These movies, they need your speeder bike, your asteroid sequence, your trench run, your pod race. It's when it's slow moving bits panning across the screen so you can see the visual effects. Then I don't know, man. I don't know. So like
I would say that their movies are better than their TV shows overall, minus Andor and The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I
mean, I'm not looking at Solo and going, man, I'd rather watch Kenobi. Like that's not happening.
I haven't really been let down by any of the live action stuff. The animation stuff is soured on me though. That's where I've fallen off a bit. But yesterday I was watching me and Meg. I don't remember what we were talking about, Meg, but we were like texting on what do you call it, that app, and then I was like, man, I need to like rewatch like Rebels. Like so much Mando stuff in Rebels. I watched I watched pretty much most of season 2 yesterday. And like when I was like watching it, I'm like, fucking Darth Maul's like in this weird temple. Like, how the fuck is he here? Like, why is he here? Does he still have a crime syndicate that he just like left back there? Did he just say, hey, Kira, run my business, I'm going out for lunch? Like,
well, Jason, like, you've got Dave Filoni right here. You can just ask Dave Filoni.
Yeah, tell me, Dave Filoni.
He's busy looking at the Acolyte pick. He can't be bothered. He's on the wrong.
He's looking at the Acolyte picture, and there's a couple of things on his mind.
Yeah, but that's like
I don't want to put words in his mouth.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff right now that my brain has a hard time like connecting in any kind of coherent way. Like when I think back on Kenobi, I just kind of go like, oh yeah, like I think about like the meeting. I don't think about the Leia and Obi-Wan relationship, which I rather enjoyed when it came out. But my memory now is mostly just like the Darth Vader moments and like the final battle. So I think I remember it very positively for that reason. Compared to what you guys are saying, anyways.
Nothing I've seen so far from Disney Plus has changed upon rewatch. Like my first impression is the same feeling I have now about it. So it hasn't changed for me. I just wish, like, look, when things are working, you don't notice the things that aren't. It's that simple. You know, there are things in Batman Begins that I'm like, that's corny, but because so much works for me, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
However, in The Dark Knight Rises, can't let a few things go. You know? Like, things aren't working. So when Bane gives a speech in the corniest fucking voice I've ever heard with the worst blown out ADR I've ever heard given, I can't not. This is ridiculous. He's speaking with his eyes. You know, I'm Bane, I'm clinically insane. You know, like, you just can't deal with
I'm gonna play devil's advocate really quickly before I forget for IGN here. Robert Sinclair says, I sometimes question what these review sites are watching these shows, TV, movies on. Do they use a phone, tablet, or older TV? It's hard to gauge what people are watching on sometimes based on the comments. So when you get a screener from Walt Disney, from the Disney company, you have to download this app called Disney Debut. And the app is not 4K. So they're likely watching the Mandalorian in 1080p. With their name
blacks.
With
do they have
crushed blacks?
Remember the Game of Thrones, the last season, when it had that weird moire banding in all the dark scenes?
When I had Willow, I had sound effects that were like well off. Like one episode, like the sound was like at like 11 decibels higher than it should have been. Like the sound mix wasn't done. Sometimes the visual effects aren't done.
Like your opening theme.
But mostly, and I mean, it's not crushed though. It's not peaking like, you know. But anyways, this so it's not the way to watch it, and it's also not necessarily the way to critique the visuals on a very hard level. Like if something is like shitty animation, you can clearly tell, then you can clearly tell. But for instance, like I watched Willow that way, and then I watched Willow in 4K on Disney Plus. I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more until the music said, no, Jason, you can't enjoy this. I'm going to take this from you like it's money, you know? But so anyways, yeah. And they may have been watching it in order to, most of the times you can't go and get Disney Debut on some streaming like platforms. Like there's like a Roku app for it, but some of the Android services you can't use it on. You might have some you can AirPlay it to your TV. Sometimes you can't. So they may be watching it on a phone. They may be watching it on an iPad. Maybe watching it on their laptop. It's hard to say. So that probably played something into the equation up here about why it sucks for them so bad. And in my opinion, Disney should not do it that way. But I guess, in my instance, beggars can't be choosers. So I'm not going to say anything to them about that. But
beggars canyons can't be choosers canyons, Jason.
I will say though, they should give us the episodes, because then we wouldn't be talking about all the leaks all the time and shit. Because give me under NDA, I fucking follow that shit. I ain't getting sued for you guys. Fuck you guys. You know what I mean?
An NDF, an NDFS, non-disclosure for fuck's sake. But
what?
I know, right? I watch everything on a Sony Bravia X950. So yeah. I can tell you, if I'm telling you the colors ain't working, it's a problem. Because Mando episodes look way different than Kenobi episodes and Boba episodes. Just letting you know. And that's where Andor really shines. You're like, this shit's cinematic. On that TV, you can tell the difference.
Seth says, I didn't think Boba was as bad as people say. I like the main story premise of the show and has a lot of redeeming moments. I generally have to think for stuff I like in Obi-Wan. Yeah, I think with Boba Fett, like if you just like take it episode by episode, everything's fine. It's Boba Fett as a series in totality, put into order where as you're watching it week to week, that like Boba's gaining momentum, and then we go over to Mando, show just loses momentum, then it puts us back. So there's like structural issues that are the problem with it. But if you just take the chapters by themselves, I think it's good. I think there's a lot of promise there. That's why I'm hoping that they do season 2 and that they learn from their fucking mistakes. And I think that they are doing season 2, for the record. I'm betting on it, probably on it being likely. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm not saying it's very likely. I'm saying it's likely. Rob, they're like literally building the fucking Slave One, and they're literally building Boba costumes and Fennec Shand costumes, and so some other shit that's from the show that's coming back. So they're either bringing everything from that into Mando 4, or they're doing that. But it won't be filmed.
Jason, do you think if they do a Boba Fett season 2, they'll actually acknowledge Mace Windu at all?
I wish. I mean, that would
just feels like Disney Star Wars does everything to avoid the prequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Except for
like
Kenobi.
Even in the Kenobi show, you would think the most obvious addition to the Kenobi show would be Watto.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Watto on Tatooine or whatever. Yeah,
it's the easiest fan service.
It might not be the cheapest fan service. That might be. I don't know for certain, but I mean, I'm gonna imagine that Watto was a puppet that the last time they used probably a digital puppet was 2000. They probably would need to rebuild it, or it probably wouldn't be super cheap. That's probably more of a thing, but it could also. But once again, is it like a Disney thing? Like I was saying in your Discord yesterday, when Lucasfilm was bought by Disney, they had 2 agendas, and the first agenda was to get back all of the Gen Xers that were mad about CGI and Jar Jar Binks, practical sets, real locations, puppets. They were doing that. The other
they shouldn't
agenda,
have parked down the street.
The other, that's what happens when you go with that.
They taught us,
and then fucking shut your mouth, Gen Xers, fucking idiots. And then the other agenda was we want to get that female audience that's for the Hunger Games, because the Hunger Games has a massive audience, and we don't think it's that good, but we think we could take it. And that was their agenda. That was their like plan. And like I said, I've been saying this for years because sources told me this more than once. And then now, fucking Rue from Hunger Games is the main character of the Acolyte. Like all of that stuff is like been their plan. So what happens to the prequels in that? Well, the prequels like kind of gets pushed around and kind of like looks like they're like they hate it or something like that, and they're more afraid of it initially. But now when you look at what they're doing, like Jedi Survivor has the Trade Federation all up in it. Acolyte and the High Republic era has battle droids and all of that tech all up in it. Mandalorian has the N1 Naboo starfighter. We're seeing signs that Naboo's coming back in these other shows. They're going back to Naboo locations. Safe to say it's Naboo. Maybe it's not, but it probably is. And so it seems like they're assimilating all of the prequel stuff, like little by little, into these different things to sort of like reprocess it and move it away from the criticism of those like 3 films. But they also seem to acknowledge on the reg that that audience, that millennials grew up loving them and like embrace those like films as their Star Wars. So I'm hoping that we're at the tail end of having to pussyfoot around Watto is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Because an N1 starfighter and a pit droid, it's not the same thing, is it, as Jar Jar Binks or Watto or Naboo or Utapau? We've never seen that planet since.
Or fucking Sabe, looking all fine and low on supply, going out for revenge.
Yeah, they do all this stuff in the comics.
Yeah, but put it in the shows. Put it on the screen. That's smart. Did Charles Soule do that stuff? Whoever did that stuff, good work on that. But that's screen worthy.
I think they should just do Watto as a hand puppet. Just have him behind a desk and he just pops up. Oh, Annie!
Like he's like old, can't fly anymore.
Yeah, he's a puppet now. He went back to a puppet. Like Yoda. Yoda was CGI, then he went back to a puppet. They go,
Andy, I'm addicted to poppers. My butthole's so big I can't fly. Oh shit!
Suddenly, Watto is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'll be back. Hey.
I'll be back with Revenge of the Sith 2, Part 2. We're making Revenge of the Sith Part 2.
Pabu. Revenge of the Sith,
Yeah.
Pabu.
Yeah.
I don't know to what, but he says I'm not wrong, and I'll take the win.
They should have the balls to just do Revenge of the Sith Part 2 and be like, "Fuck you, we're doing it." Like, we don't
That's
care.
Kenobi, man.
Sequels to the individual movies.
Deal with it.
Empire Strikes Back Part 2 is coming out. We're making a sequel to Phantom Menace to fill in all the gaps.
Rural Farm Boy says, I'm Gen Xer. Some idiots in my gen. I couldn't figure out why there was that kind of sideways over the Phantom Menace back when the other films, after I thought it was a bit, what's this to say why? What he's saying is he doesn't get, why they were so fucking up in arms about it. And the truth of this was it was an unexpected movie that went in an unexpected direction, and they all had been sitting down watching Clerks for 5 years on VHS, and they thought that they were the guys in Clerks. That's the truth, though.
Hey,
trust me, we could smell our own kind.
And that's tear something else down and raise something up.
That's not. I love Clerks. I'm not tearing it down. I just have acknowledged in my advanced age that I am not Randall from Clerks. You're not as witty as Kevin Smith, even though you think you are in the talkbacks on Ain't It Cool News in 1999. You know what I mean? That's what it was. You could see it's like people writing fucking Clerks fan fiction and those things, But no, I love Clerks 1. Clerks 2 and 3, As the Truth says, a portion of the prequel fans are the most insane ones, though. No matter what they get fed, it's not good enough. 20-something clone fanboys. Yeah, that's like it's exactly the same thing. It's just history repeating itself. Everyone thinking that what they got the dopamine hit off of initially is the best thing, and that nothing can compare. And then whatever comes out, they fucking go, "This isn't Revenge of the Sith. I didn't see Hayden Christensen's titties in it. Fuck this movie," And it's just like, well, what do you want? Yeah, it's not. That already happened. But I don't know. I get pretty bored of that. Of like it's gonna be boring when the next trilogy hits and we have the sequel trilogy fans doing it, and especially because the fucking Raylos are nuts. I mean, they're as nuts as the Phantom Menace people. It's fucking crazy from a whole different angle. And but what can you do? If I were you guys, I wouldn't say a word because they're fucking nuts and they'll come after you. They're in the shadows, waiting. Brandon says, I really love the prequel era canon books.
It's the prequel era Legends books that are the ones worth reading. Mm-hmm. I find the prequel era canon books are just very odd takes on the characters.
Yeah, like that one with Mace was really fun. I don't know if it holds up.
Do you mean Shatterpoint?
Shatterpoint.
That's a brilliant book.
Yeah.
And Rogue Planet ever again with this shitty photo cover.
Yeah, I know. I like that. I like that the cover of Rogue Planet made Jake Lloyd like they did that in between blending. At one point, you remember that they had the blending of him turning into Hayden Christensen because they had to cast Hayden by then, so they knew what they were.
I've got the version where it's Ewan McGregor and young Jake Lloyd.
Okay.
Do you mean the one between 1 and 2 where they marketed it as like the most important book you need to read, and then it had nothing to do with Attack of the Clones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Meg,
I'm going to ask you which time? Where's Moff? What the fuck
which
is
time?
This? Like, why are we on a planet? Like fucking.
Where Anakin's trying to recreate pod races in like the garbage cans of Coruscant.
Yeah. I remember that.
Guys, don't. I was 20 years old. It was a bad day for me, and that Star Wars book was supposed to lift me up, and I threw it in a trash can on the way. I was in Germany. I was like, just at the bottom, I'm like, right in the trash. I'm like, I'm done with this.
Man, you know what? It's not on Google. I'm gonna have to look for it. But it was so around I think it might have been on StarWars.com around the time of Forbidden Planet. Or no, what's it called? Rogue Planet.
Rogue Planet.
Rogue Planet. Yeah, Forbidden Planet's that one with Robbie the Robot, right?
It's Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, actually, I showed that to some like students a while ago. Years ago now, but undergrads, and they were like, "That dude's so fucking hot," and I'm like, "That's Naked Gun, And they're like, "No!" I'm like, "Yeah, that's fucking Naked Gun."
With animation by Disney. Disney did All the effects.
So
I do have to go, guys.
All right, Meg.
Thank you so much for having me on. And thank you everyone in the chat.
Yeah.
Thanks, Meg.
You're always welcome, even though I don't see it. You're always welcome to come back. Yeah. Bye, Meg.
Thank you, Jason and Rob. Thank you.
Always welcome. Always welcome.
All right, so just
we're never letting
to
her
be
back
clear,
on, right, Jason?
Oh, fuck no.
Yeah, gonna ignore her. Yeah,
we
look at that.
We don't like English.
Look, that Photoshop job is so bad. I was using Photoshop at the time. Like, this is so fucking horrible, dude. This is the worst cover for a Star Wars book ever. What is that?
Yeah. So at this time, I'm thinking this is the Legends. This is like the reprint cover, but it's pretty much the same as the original one. Around this time, when they did the article for this on StarWars.com, there was an actual graphic, and it showed Jake Lloyd becoming Hayden Christensen. They did that blend thing to it. It was interesting though. That. Yeah, I would maybe somebody will find
the
it.
The morph technology from Willow
Michael Jackson
and Michael Jackson. Well, Willow did it first.
Willow did it first. Sorry, Willow. You kind of pissed me off this year. So you're kind of getting Michael Jackson's kind of jumping the line on you. By the way, do you like Chris Rock? Is a new stand-up. He's a new stand-up special on Netflix, and it's pretty funny. He made a Michael Jackson joke I thought was really funny. But anyways, yeah, that's little Jake Lloyd.
You put boogers in there? No, sir. There's no boogers in there. I swear. Did you put boogers in there?
Give me some Jesus juice. Meg's talking about the approaching storm. Ooh.
The approaching storm. That was the one between episode 2 and 3.
Yeah. As the truth says, apparently history is not repeating themselves according to the clone fanboys. They think they're so oppressed and that they are mistreated for 20 years.
And I wish the Clone Wars would fucking end. It's like 20 fucking years of this timeline.
No, you keep saying that. It's over. Rob, there's nothing Clone Wars. There's nothing Clone Wars going on.
We're still dealing with it. Bad Batch is Clone Wars.
Bad Batch is about to have stormtroopers on
the rogue planet of It's the rogue planet of Clone Wars.
It's not though. It's not. It's completely in. It's in the Empire.
Yeah.
Palpatine's
the epilogue trilogy.
Watch.
Right.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see the stormtroopers come out, and then we're gonna see the clones completely decommissioned. Now clones are always gonna be in this shit because they play well into the Star Wars Rebels stuff, But so far in live action, I don't think we're gonna really be seeing them. Everybody thinks so all the time and insists that we are. I would love to be wrong, but other than that one panhandler in Kenobi, I don't think we're going to see a lot of those.
The chance for that was the Book of Boba Fett, but they missed that opportunity.
Well, Kenobi also as well, but also the Kenobi sequel that they'll announce and never make. It might be in there.
They're building ships right now, Jason.
Not for Kenobi. Don't get them confused. You make that
maybe
joke and then they misremember and then they start saying
maybe
I said shit.
Yeah,
God, I saw something. Somebody sent me something on Star Wars.
They're building sushi
leaks.
whales right now, like big sushi whales.
Yeah. Anyways, though.
Jason.
Oh no.
I wanted to give an exclusive.
What's that?
Brendan Fraser gonna play a sushi whale in Kenobi season 2.
In Erwa? Gonna play in Erwa?
He's gonna be called Oscar bait.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah.
It's a whale joke. Okay, I gotta go. Love you. Bye.
Bye. We'll see you later.
All right.
Yeah.
Meg, you missed him.
Yeah, when I was watching the Airwell episodes with Ezra Bridger, I was like, Rob's gonna like this. If Rob ever watches this, probably never will, but if he does, he's gotta like it because it's the same as Avatar. It's like, hey, big whale friend.
Avatar.
Yeah, it is.
Execution is everything, and I don't like the visual style of that cartoon. So
no, me either. But you can see how it's directed. That it's the same shot angles and shit.
Sure,
very similar.
Yeah.
It is.
It's like watching the first episode of Tales of the Jedi and telling me that's directed the same as Studio Ghibli. Sure.
No, it would be like watching the animatics from Avatar and then going like, this isn't good because it reminds me of Rebels.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Avatar, before we go, I listened to the podcast Light the Fuse, right? They do mostly the Mission Impossible stuff, and they've had Macquarie on many times. Tom Cruise came on. They get the Tom Cruise cake at the end of the year now.
Right.
They've elevated. But they had the production
they must have good thetans, that podcast.
They do. They have good thetans.
They have good thetans.
They had the production designer from Rogue Nation on. She's a odd name. I'm not going to murder it. I don't know. But she's really, really good interview, 2-part. And she goes way back. She was production visual effects designer on X-Men 2, right? So like, the Nightcrawler,
X-Men
White House
Ghosts.
stuff. But she came on for the last 14 months for Avatar 1.
Uh-huh.
And she was saying that the problem they ran into on that film was that hold on a second, I gotta clear my throat.
The problem was everybody's fucking blue.
I know.
And why are you so blue?
Is that you're gonna love this. You're gonna love
Thrawn.
this, Jason.
You love Thrawn.
Is that Cameron wanted the cut of Avatar at that point was 6 hours. And Cameron wanted all the visual effects done for all 6 hours. Remember the Jeff Snyder report on Avatar 3 last month when he said there's a 9-hour cut or something and Cameron wanted all the visual effects? Well, she said that he wanted all the visual effects done for Avatar 1 because he wanted options. But what it was like, we can only make 2 hours of stuff. We can't. And even now, like they couldn't, because of budget and everything else, like we can't possibly. So they had to bring on 12 vendors. She had to coordinate between 12 vendors to get all that done, on the time.
Yeah. But they did it. They did it twice. By the way,
you want to read this, Jason? Because I can disagree with this.
Seth Nico says Rob is like a dad who doesn't want a dog but ends up loving the dog the most when he gets to spend time with it. But with the Clone Wars Rebels, when he eventually watches it.
No, I had to sit through a few of these episodes. I can't stand them.
When it comes to Star Wars Rebel, like I watched Rebels yesterday, I watched season 2, and looking at it very objectively. And there were moments when I would like take a break and I would come back and I would watch something. Like there's a few moments in it, or like a few like sequences, There's this moment where like there's like a Sith temple and Darth Maul's there pretending to be this old feeble like lost person in there tricking Ezra, and the fucking Inquisitors show up and he fucking murders them all, and like Darth Vader shows up because of what's happening, and it's fucking great. It's like fucking, I'm like, I can't believe this Star Wars exists in animation, that they actually like went here in this show, and it's fucking good. And then you go to like the next episode and you're like, you could put a laugh track to this because of the smug fucking like one-liners that the characters say. And it's like, fucking hell. Like that's like on Rebels, that's where that's my like issue with it. That's where I'm like,
I was watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood when you guys were watching that series. So I was like, no, man, I'm not like my taste in animation. It's like, I can't go to this LA goofy hybrid. Sometimes we're serious. I don't know. I don't like the tone of these shows. I've not liked the tone of any of them. I don't like the way they're written. They're not for me. I've tried. I was so glad when Lucasfilm told me not to watch them when I worked on the shirt, so that I didn't have to fucking sit through them.
That was it. That was just a merchandiser.
They told me not to watch. No, that was Lucasfilm's. Don't bother with it. We don't want you to put esoteric humor in this.
Like I said, man, the Pong Krail arc in there, you should watch that. You will love it. It is good. But once again, Clone Wars is a series of mini films. Some are bad.
Star Racers. Hold on. Old Band Star Racers came out in like 2003 or 4. It's a French anime like pod racing. And that they did that in 2003 or 4, all CGI. Still better than all this stuff. Like I just
But you're saying, man. but you're saying something is better than all this stuff when you haven't seen the stuff that you're saying it's all better than. So therefore,
now I have to sit through. Now I have to sit through 7 seasons of stuff.
If you're going to, then
I have an uninformed opinion. But then great. Based on what I've watched, I don't want to watch no more. And everything I've watched in animation that they've done after that, I've not liked either. So there's magically
for the record,
sweet spot
I don't think you're going to have a good time because you're so like dug in on it being bad. No. That said, though, no, I mean like Walter Murch fucking directs episodes of the show. You think Walter Murch comes in and does fucking LA fucking animation? No, he doesn't. And it's not like that. But the thing about it is, are you going to get a consistent experience over 7 seasons? You're not. 100% you're not. It's all over the place.
I'm also just not interested in the Clone Wars. Like the opportunity was in the films and they missed it for me. So I'm interested in how it was made.
Is that fair though? Is that fair? Because if there's like something,
no,
if there's like
it's fair for me. I have to protect myself. I have to protect myself. Yourself. Yeah, to protect myself.
George Lucas gonna touch you on the doll.
I get emotionally worked up, Jason. You know what I mean? I'm an emotional dude.
But that's
so
why,
like, I'm not gonna sit here and get angry about Star Wars or let down because I didn't this shit. I'm not dealing with it.
That's what I'm telling you though. There's like 3 episodes.
I will watch the
of a
making
movie.
of this stuff.
Jason, I will watch episodes called what's it called? The Pong Krill arc. It has a name.
So you can't even name it. So name's so dumb.
No, it's because
names that you can never remember.
It's because there's 150 fucking episodes of the show now. I don't remember what they call 4 episodes put together at this point. But
chapter 37.4.
Cage or Seth, I don't think he would like Mortis. For the record, Umbara is what I'm saying. The Umbara arc is what they call it, and because it's on a planet called Umbara, Pong Krill's the guy, but it's fucking Banner Brothers. You know in Banner Brothers when they want to kill the guy from Friends,
yeah,
because he's endangering the squad and all that. It's that with the Clone Wars with the Jedi who's fucking just not there anymore. It's really, really fucking solid. Like I've seen like a film cut of it. It's fucking good. But anyways, yeah, Darkness on Umbara arc. So yeah, that's one of the high marks of it. And for me, that's one of the things that makes the series like be from here to here. But anyways, tomorrow there might be some kind of preview for what the Mandalorian's going to be. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Nobody does, Rob. Nobody does.
Well, Eric Jenderson wrote the Band of Brothers, and he's writing Dead Reckoning 1 and 2. Apparently he's friends with Chris McQuarrie. He's also developed a whole series that didn't get produced on the Majestic 13. Remember those guys?
Wait, go back. The Majestic 12 from the UFO stuff?
The Majestic 12, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to do an interview with the Light the Fuse guys on like he may have already. I have to go and see if it was out.
Yeah, I want to hear that if that's out.
On his interest on his opinion on UFOs. So
yeah. I lean towards the Majestic 12 being a real concept that has since been fan fucked to hell by the UFO community into something that's like, you know what I mean? Like I think that's you definitely like we know that there were programs like that. We know that there were like little groups of like peer review scientists who got together and said, here's what this would mean. Here's what it could mean. If that happened, it means this. But then we've seen like the actual like transcripts of that stuff come out. And then you have all of the mythology around it before, and the mythology around it before is fucking batshit because UFO people are batshit. I love the topic, but fuck, I can't be a part of that online discourse.
I told you that's why I wait for the big stuff to filter up through my, my content feed. Yeah. But everything else, just stay away from it because it's a fucking giant sink, Like.
And one last thing before I forget, the Majestic 12 stuff that was sent over from like a TV producer, and it's like, ooh, I have to get the children's. The children are out of school. So I gotta get Luke and Penny from school, or they will be sad. But we'll see everybody tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Tomorrow, Rob will have watched 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. He has promised you. He'll do that for you. and Short Round won the fucking Oscar. So for the first time in the whole fucking world, the Oscar did the right thing, and
they got right to it. Like first one off the bat, bro. It was really great.
So good work. You finally did something right, you fucking stupid idiots. Anyways, all right, I'll see you.
Now give him Indiana Jones 6.
Yeah, that's what I say. Make the Short Round series on Disney Plus. Stop fucking around. Don't give us Ravenwood. Give us fucking
we need
Short
real
Round.
money. Fucking Disney Plus cheap ass fucking.
Hey. Give us real money.
I want real money.
I'll take the film, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. I'll talk to you in a bit, Rob. I'm gonna leave after the show. After this thing. Okay.
Peace.
I'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
You know you should go.
Come on, let's go. It's not about spaceships.